I'm Brendan O'Brien, and we're coming to you from Cork on the south coast of Ireland.
And I'm Eileen, and we were hoping to be with you in person and making our first trip to Mexico, but here we are online instead, and hopefully we'll get to visit you at another time.
We have been working with families bereaved by suicide and touched by suicide for a long number of years, and we're really looking forward to sharing our experience and our learnings to the wider Constellation community. And we are really looking forward to meeting you online in the next few weeks. I think all of us are touched by suicide in some way, whether it's in our family, a neighbour, somebody in our local community, or at work. I think it has a profound effect on all of us. And for me, I grew up in a normal family, working in education here in Ireland. And over time, I went on to become a psychotherapist. I was involved in coaching rugby. And somewhere, I was always deeply moved and touched and saddened when a young person took their own lives. And I suppose at a professional level, I started to take an interest because I did work with a lot of young people who later went on to take their own lives. And so I started reading, and about 20 years ago, I went to two conferences on suicide. And they were very interesting, and I learned a lot. And still, I came away thinking, maybe they're asking the wrong questions. Because a lot of what was presented was about statistics, how many, where, what counties, what age groups. Now, all of these it's really important information. But I was left thinking, there are deeper questions. There's something around what's really happening when somebody takes their own life. How come somebody out of the blue chose to go? And as I went into studying suicide, there's a big tome called the International Handbook of Suicide Prevention. They say we need to move away from the medical model. We need to move from the psychiatric model in looking at suicide. And we really, really need to look at new ways of researching suicide and understanding suicide. And I suppose we had already begun to do that when I read this, but it encouraged me to continue on this path because at a soulful level, I knew we needed to go to the families. We needed to be with people who had experienced suicide in their family life. Because, again, the International Handbook was suggesting we needed also to generate new knowledge. We needed to understand what's happening with suicide.
Because we had already been involved with Family Constellations, we're over 20 years now involved in constellation work. For us, it seemed like a very natural lens to use in order that we could support families bereaved by suicide. So, running alongside that lens, both of us had taken other trainings in psychotherapy and in other areas. So we felt we had a very integrated understanding of what would be needed in order to fully support people in whatever might come up as we went looking deeper into this very traumatic event for any family.
At the gathering, we'd really like to share with you some of the findings from our research. We'd also like to look at how maybe we look after ourselves as facilitators and how we need to have an awareness of re-traumatization and dissociation in clients when we do deeper work. There's something there about knowing the right amount to do. I've had a few times where clients came and just sat beside me and cried for 20 minutes, and that was all we did at the time. We went back later to do a constellation, but there's something very important for the facilitator to have an attunement to the readiness of the client to do a particular piece of work. We look as well, hopefully, at some of the core healing movements around suicide. And these movements are also part of all work around trauma. It's like helping people to step back from whatever has happened, whatever has been difficult in their family, as they go to live their lives to the full.
We will be joined during the session by a number of people who have attended our work and know our work well, and they've all been bereaved by suicide themselves, and they form part of a holding circle when we work with newer participants that come to have that experience. In all aspects of facilitation in constellation work, creating a place of safety is really, really important. But what we have found in the way that we work is that creation of a safe space when working with people bereaved by suicide is incredibly important. People have been through a really traumatic experience. It may have happened a number of years ago, it may be quite recent, and they really don't know how to be around it. They have shame, they have guilt, they may be very angry, they're suffering in so many ways. So it's really, really important to create a space and an environment that actually they're able to in some way allow themselves to enter into those difficult and fragile places in themselves. And this is really facilitated by that holding circle.
We're really looking forward to meeting you.